Aaref, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
We wanted to ask you about, as a VC, when you go and look for emerging entrepreneurs, both as a firm and personally as a VC, the core values remain the same for entrepreneurs, but trends keep emerging. So I want to take you back to the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. When you go and seek out these entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs seek you out, what do you look for in an entrepreneur before you decide to even talk to them?
I guess we look for a connection between the business that the person is looking to pursue and just sort of what they've done in the past. And that doesn't mean they have to have worked in the industry. It just means we're looking to see if they have any unique insight into a particular market or a particular area. We look at whether are the kind of person who have taken an unconventional path or have pushed themselves in some way or have done something that would suggest that they'd be the kind of person to start a company. We look at the market that they're attacking, because from all that we see in the ecosystem, there are some markets with at any point in time with potential, others perhaps less so. And most of all, to be perfectly honest, we look at who is introducing that person to us. So that I'd say that for people who want to come and speak to us, if you get an introduction from someone who we know, that's probably the best way to approach us.
So in some respect, it looked like there's already a network and already a club, so to say, where if you can't break that barrier, I can't get into that particular network.
Yeah, so I came to Silicon Valley 15 years ago because I felt there was no club here, and that in other parts of the world, in the East Coast or in Europe, there is in Pakistan, there is an establishment, and it's very hard to break into that establishment. What I'd say happens in Silicon Valley is that it changes all the time, and there's a lot of mobility. If you look at the leading entrepreneurs today in the headlines, they'll be different from the ones that were there 5 years ago. And so it's constantly evolving. So what I'd say is that if you are in a specific area, if you're in security, if you're in networking, if you're in social networking, if you're in, online video or whatever it is, go and find people who are knowledgeable about that area, who are entrepreneurs working in that area already, and then they will then introduce you to the right investor. And so what I'd ask people to do is look at our portfolio of companies, approach people working in a related area, because if they then recommend you, that carries a lot of weight with us, and it's very easy to come and meet us.
So before they come to this league where they are connected to people that know you, there are other people who are good professionals who have worked in the industry for 10, 12 years, gain enough expertise. Now the time comes that being in Silicon Valley, if the bug hasn't caught on to you, there's something wrong with you. So they say, okay, we should try the entrepreneurship route. What are some of the recommendations you would give to those people who haven't yet tried their hand, but this is the first opportunity that they're taking, the first dab at becoming an entrepreneur? So some fundamentals.
So for first-time entrepreneurs, I would say the fundamentals are, number one, focus on product and focus on fundraising. So create a compelling product, whether that's a vision, if it's a deep infrastructure product, or actually build something, if it's something that can be created in an easy, lightweight way, even if it's a prototype, even if it's not scalable. I'd say the number one thing would be to create some kind of product. And then I would say feel free to reach out to us directly and explain what the product is, and ideally enable us to try out the product prior to us meeting you, because there's nothing we like more than looking at new products and understanding what they are. And I think that would speak for itself, and would then lead to us getting engaged.
Where are you investing? What are your focus areas and some of the trends that you see coming up?
Well, we invest as Sequoia across a broad range of areas, from consumer to enterprise, from applications to infrastructure. I would say that when we look at trends, there are a number of areas bubbling away. In the consumer side, there are a number of companies based on what we think of as the personal economy, meaning leveraging the mobile phone, which is increasingly penetrating different crevices of everyday life, to enable new services to spring up. So I'd say that new consumer services, marketplaces. On the enterprise side, there are new SaaS applications. There's all sorts of innovation in security, as we heard today from about FireEye, and in networking. So, honestly, I can say that I am amazed every week at the breadth of wonderful new ideas that the entrepreneurial community is creating, and I think there's never been a better time to start a company.
Now, I'll ask you this question across the pond, both in Great Britain and in Europe. I've met entrepreneurs and investors who come here and say, there's still this big yearning to have this kind of ecosystem. So everyone everywhere else tries to build this Silicon Valley ecosystem, but somehow they only do so much. Right. So you came from there, and you penetrated, the networking here in Silicon Valley. Do you see that evolving in Britain and in some parts of Europe? And where do you think the biggest USP of Silicon Valley lies compared to Great Britain?
I just think Silicon Valley is a place like no other, and it builds on itself by asset stripping the rest of the world of its entrepreneurial talent. If you look at the conference here today, I would argue that 95% of people were not born in the United States. And when we look at entrepreneurs who we meet, many of them are born in different countries. Many of them may even be living in different countries. They all look at moving to Silicon Valley to start their company. Even Facebook, which started in Boston by an American founder, moved to Silicon Valley from Boston to build a company. And the reason is there's just such a support structure and just so many resources available to entrepreneurs here. It just makes no sense to start a company anywhere else. And increasingly, there are other countries like China and India. There's some, obviously there's technologists in Israel, and so there are pockets that there are, other significant markets. But for people outside of those markets, I think that while you might start somewhere else, I think the gravitational pull of coming here is very strong. And the combination of the universities, the services, legal and accounting, the supply of engineers, just the fact that everywhere you go, people are thinking about technology, and people are more open here, I believe, than elsewhere to believing that the world can change, that the future can be unlike the past, and that encourages people to just lean forward that little bit more and take that little bit of extra risk.
Personally for you, you're at Sequoia, that is one of the finest and the most well-known and most successful VC firms in the world. You have the Mike and now Doug on the top Midas Touch list of 100. So is your ambition to be in that list and be successful like other people at the firm have done so amazingly well? Well,
so the question is around the Midas Touch. We pay no attention to the Midas list thing. We understand why these lists exist and why people put weight on them, but that is not our focus at all. The number one thing we care about is helping entrepreneurs build enduring businesses, and that's it. And if we can kind of find these entrepreneurs or hope they find us, if we can partner, we're lucky enough to partner with them, and we can be helpful to them as we were helpful at FireEye and ServiceNow, and we try to be today at Dropbox and Airbnb and a range of other companies. If we can be helpful to entrepreneurs, that's all we seek to do. And so all this other stuff is just a distraction.
All right. Aaref, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.